Metal presses against her mouth. It tastes like blood. Claudia Severina is 20-6 years old. The iron collar cuts into the soft skin of her neck. Every breath rubs metal against flesh. The air smells old. Stone. Rot fresh urine. These chambers are underground. Deep beneath the Flavian amphitheater. Through the walls, she hears men training. Grunts. Shouts. Wood striking wood. Men preparing to kill or die. She waits. Not for freedom. For instructions. She waits to learn how she will be used. Before her death arrives. 6 days ago she was someone else. She was the daughter of Senator Marcus Claudius Aesius. Raised in a villa above the Bay of Naples. Taught by Greek tutors. Trained in poetry, rhetoric, and law. She was engaged to a powerful family. A man whose relatives controlled much of the olive trade in the West. Now she kneels on wet stone. She is in the hypogeum, the maze beneath the arena. Cells. Tunnels. Darkness in both directions. Her silk stole is gone. Replaced by a rough cloth shift. It barely covers her body. Her jeweled rings are gone. In their place, iron shackles. Her wrists chained to the collar at her throat. She is marked. Property of the arena. Around her, other women kneel in their cells. Some cry. Some whisper prayers. Some stare forward silent. Their eyes empty. As if they have already left their bodies behind. Eamon approaches. He stops outside her cell. He is about 30. Broad shoulders. Scarred arms. A body shaped by years of violence. Every movement is controlled. Efficient. Deliberate. His face is handsome in a broken way. Features once attractive. Then shattered. Set again by bone and steel. He wears a simple gladiator's tunic. But a gold band circles his arm. They champion. An elite fighter. Victories have bought him privileges. Privileges others do not get. His eyes move over her body. Not desire. Assessment. Like someone judging livestock. This is the senator's daughter, he asks. A second voice answers from behind him. Claudius Everina. Condemned for poisoning her husband. Execution scheduled for the Ludi Romani. 7 days. 7 days. The gladiator smiles. The smile is wrong. Predatory. That's a long time, he says. What's the assignment? Standard disposition, the voice replies. She's yours if you want her. The list was approved this morning. She needs his name. She needs to know who owns her fate. He steps closer to the bars. Reaches through. His fingers lift her chin. Force her face upward. He studies her. Good quality, he says. Not like the usual trash. This one mattered once. She swallows. She does not look away. She refuses to show fear. Even as fear coils inside her stomach. She speaks. What is your name? The question surprises him. Condemned prisoners do not ask questions. They beg. They cry. They bargain. They do not speak as equals. Titus, he says. That they call me Magnus. He smiles again. Magnus the Destroyer. I have killed 40-7 men in this arena. But I have never lost. He leans closer. For the next 7 days, you belong to me. He laughs. You belong to your father. Then to your husband. Now to the arena. That is how property works, he says. It passes from hand to hand. Until it's used up. I did not kill my husband, Claudia says. I don't care, Magnus replies. The court says you did. He turns to the guard. Open the cell. Keys rattle. Iron scrapes stone. The door swings open. Magnus steps inside. The space feels smaller. The walls closer. You can walk, he says. Or I can drag you. He smiles. Dragging is more fun for me. She stands. She chooses to walk. What you are about to hear was cleaned out of the official story. When people talk about Roman gladiators, they talk about spectacle. They talk about skill. They talk about crowds. They write about famous fighters. Their wins. Their styles. Their deaths. They describe the arenas. The engineering. The animal hunts. The politics. They frame it as sport. As entertainment. As Roman order controlling violence. But every arena had a second world. A world beneath the sand. The hypogeum. A network of tunnels. Cages, storage rooms. And cells. A working machine that fed the show above. And inside that machine, condemned people waited. Not only for their executions, those were scheduled, fixed, certain. They waited for the days before, the days when they were no longer citizens, no longer protected by law, no longer seen as fully human. They were a property, and anyone with the right authority could claim that property. Tonight, you are going to learn what that meant. You will learn how the underground system functioned, how power worked down there, who had privileges and why. You will learn why certain gladiators gain access to condemned prisoners, and why women were treated as rewards. You will learn about Claudia Severina, a woman condemned for a crime she says she did not commit. A woman who entered the hypogym as property. A woman placed under the control of a champion. She had 7 days before her public death. 7 days inside a system designed to break people early. And if you want the full truth of Roman arena culture, you have to look below the sand. Because the fighters were only part of the story. The underground was the part Rome preferred to forget. But before I tell you what happened in Magnus's quarters, and what Claudia saw in those tunnels, and how she searched for a way to survive what should have been unsurvivable, I need to take you back. I need to explain the hypogym. I need to explain the economy of the condemned, because you can't understand Claudia's danger without understanding why the system needed her suffering. The hypogym was a city under a city. Most major arenas had one, but the Flavian amphitheater had the biggest. A full labyrinth under the floor above, tunnels crossing like veins, chambers stacked with tools, cages lined in rows, and it was advanced. Human Midas-powered elevators lifted platforms upward. Cages, beasts, prisoners, all rising through trapdoors. To the crowd, it looked like magic. Like animals appeared from nowhere. But it was not magic. It was labor. It was planning. There were storage rooms for costumes, weapons, props, stage pieces. Because Rome loved theatrical death. Not just execution but performance. Yet the hypogym was more than equipment. It had rules, a hierarchy, a social order that didn't match the world outside. And at the top of that underground order were certain gladiators. Not all of them, only the champions. The ones with fame, the ones who won, the ones who made the crowd roar. A man like Magnus had more real power underground than many free citizens had above ground. He ate better than the poor. He lived in private rooms. Gods listened to him. Officials made space for him. And he had access to condemned prisoners. No tablet of law said it out loud. No senator wrote it into rules. But everyone understood it. It was normal. It was routine. It was woven into arena life. The logic was simple. Condemned prisoners were already dead. Their end was booked. Their day was chosen. So what happened before that day was treated as irrelevant. They belonged to the arena. And the arena could use its property. Arena managers also had a problem. Condemned prisoners did not die the moment they arrived. Sometimes they waited days. Sometimes weeks. They had to be housed, controlled, fed just enough to keep them alive. And women had a specific value in this economy. Male prisoners could be used for training, for drills, for practice, for humiliation. Women were used differently. They could be assigned as servers, as company, as rewards, as entertainment, whatever the person claiming them wanted. And the cruelty of the system was this. The women were going to die anyway, so people pretended nothing before the death mattered. That is how the underground stayed invisible. No one wrote it down. Or if they did, it did not survive. Because it would have ruined the clean story of Roman glory. This is the system Claudia has fallen into. This is the world she is learning to read. And this is the reason she has 7 days. To find something that looks like a path out. Magnus's quarters are not what she expects. He leads her through corridors, past cells, past cages, past doors with iron bars, then into a private suite. Not a single room, a set of rooms. There is a real bed, real linens, a table with chairs, shelves, personal items. It looks like a home buried under an arena. Claudia stops without meaning to. Magnus notices. Surprised, he asks. Champions get privileges, he says. I've won 40-7 fights. That buys comfort. He gestures around. It looks like a home because it is a home. He speaks without pride. Almost flat. The only home I've had since I was sold to the school at 14. He points at a chair. Sit. She sits. Her body is tense. Her mind is racing. She expects violence. A reminder of power. Instead he pours wine. Real wine. Not sour vinegar. He sets a cup in front of her. Then he speaks like a man starting a conversation. You said you didn't kill your husband. He watches her closely. Tell me. Claudia does not trust him. She does not understand it. Why do you care? She asks. I don't, he says. Not really. He shrugs. But you don't act like the usual women. He looks at her like a puzzle. You have pride. You speak like you expect to be heard. That's either stupidity, he says, or you believe you matter. She studies him. Talking buys time. Time is oxygen. So she talks. My marriage was arranged, she says. Business. My father's connections. His family's money. I did not love him, she admits. Neither did he. But we were learning to live together. We were married 18 months. Then he died. At a dinner. Poison in his wine. Magnus does not blink. I was blamed, Claudia continues. Because I argued with him earlier that day. Because I asked the cook about herbs. Because I was the easy answer. Who benefits? Magnus asks. His brother, Claudia says. Gaius Petronius. He gained everything when my husband died without a child. He pushed the accusation the loudest. She keeps her voice steady. My trial was rushed. My father wasn't allowed to speak. My witnesses were blocked. The verdict was chosen before the first word. Because money moved. Because powerful friends wanted the story simple. Magnus sits back. He thinks. Then he speaks slowly. None of that changes your sentence. You're still condemned. You still die in 7 days. Claudia lifts her chin. But it should change how you treat me. Magnus gives a short laugh. Should it? Yes, she says. Because down here you still have choices. He holds his gaze. You can treat me as a thing. Or you can treat me like a person. Who was destroyed by men who needed a scapegoat. Magnus is silent. For a long moment he looks almost tired. Then he speaks. I've had many women pass through these rooms, he says. Over 15 years. Most cried. Some fought until they calmed. Some tried to bargain. He looks at her. None asked me to be better. Claudia's throat tightens. Did any of it help them? She asks. No, Magnus says. They still died. He pauses. But what happened before their deaths mattered to them. He stands. He walks to the door and calls for a guard. Bring bedding, he orders. A second pallet. The senator's daughter sleeps separately. The god looks confused. But he nods. A champion's word is not debated. When the guard leaves, Magnus turns back. You have your 7 days, he says. I won't touch you unless you ask. Claudia stares at him. Her mind cannot accept the words yet. Magnus continues, colder now. Do not confuse this with rescue. This is not salvation. This is time. When the Ludi arrive, you will die as scheduled. I cannot change that. And even if I could, he adds, I would not break the arena's rules for you. You are condemned. Condemned people die. Claudia nods once. I understand, she says. Magnus studies her. Good. Because some women mistake mercy for protection. They think if they are useful enough, someone will spare them. He shakes his head. The arena takes everyone in the end. It will take you too. Claudia's voice stays calm. I understand. She adds quietly. I have 7 days. Magnus asks, 7 days for what? Claudia does not answer. Not yet. Because she is still building the answer inside her head. Night changes the hyperdoom. During the day, the underground hums. Footsteps echo. Weapons strike wood. Animals roar behind iron bars. Administrators move with scrolls and schedules. Everything is timed. Everything is measured. Death runs on order. But at night, the order loosens. Torches burn low. Shadows stretch. Sounds travel farther through stone. The high presume breathes. Claudia lies on the pallet Magnus ordered for her. Thin bedding. But separate. She stares at the ceiling she cannot see. She listens. Somewhere, a woman cries. The sound rises. Then breaks. Somewhere else, men speak in low voices. Guards. Gladiators. She cannot hear the words. She hears other sounds too. Rhythmic. Urgent. Unmistakable. Stone walls do not block everything. She understands now. What Magnus offered her is not normal. What she hears through the walls is normal. Women being taken. Is discarded. Women who will die soon anyway. The arena does not care what happens before death. Only that the death happens on schedule. Claudia closes her eyes. She does not sleep. She thinks. Magnus did not spare her out of fear. Or kindness alone. Something in her words reached him. Something he had not heard before. That means something still exists inside him. That the arena has not destroyed. That matters. Exceptions depend on choices. Choices depend on reasons. If she wants this mercy to last, she must understand why he gave it. Morning comes with iron sounds. Keys boots. The daily machine waking up. Magnus rises early. He dresses for training. You stay here, he tells her. My quarters are private. Food will come. If you need to relieve yourself, there's a pot. He looks at her carefully. Do not leave these rooms. What happens if I do, she asks. He does not soften his voice. You become unclaimed. My protection is personal, not official. If you are found alone in the hyperdoom, you are available to anyone. He understands. Guards, gladiators, officials, anyone. Magnus adds one more thing. The others are not like me. The younger fighters share cells. They share everything. When a woman becomes available, they do not wait. I will stay, Claudia says. Magnus nods and leaves. The door closes. For the first time since her arrest, Claudia is alone. Alone with silence. With time, she begins to observe. Magnus' quarters are modest but solid. Not rich. Not bare. A life built slowly. Shelves line the wall. Books. That surprises her. She moves closer. Greek texts. Philosophy. Epictetus. Marcus Aurelius. Stoics. Teachings about control. About accepting fate. About inner choice. A gladiator who reads philosophy. A killer who studies how to live well. The contradiction matters. A man shaped by stoicism may respond to reason, not only appetite. She keeps looking. A desk. Papiers. Ink writing tools. Unusual here. In a drawer, she finds a key. Small. Iron hidden. She does not touch it. She memorizes its place. Magnus returns later, sweat shining on his skin. Training has sharpened him. Yuri still hears. He says, you told me to stay. I told you to stay, he agrees. How did you spend your morning? Thinking, Claudia replies. Learning where I am. He washes at the basin. You don't have options, he says casually. Everyone has options, she replies. Some just lead to death faster. Magnus turns. What options do you see? I could try to escape, she says. The tunnels exist. I would probably be caught and killed. But not certainly. He nods. Unlikely. What else? I could appeal my conviction, she says. My father still has influence. Magnus shakes his head. H.E.S. right. He failed. The games want you. That tells her something important. Her death is not justice. It is programming. What else? Magnus asks. I could accept it, she says. Prepare for death. That's what most do. I am not most, Claudia replies. Magnus watches her. There's another option, she says slowly. I could look for allies. Magnus' eyes narrow slightly. Allies where? People who benefit if I live, she says. Or people who benefit if others are embarrassed. Magnus is quiet. You need information, he says. Yes. He studies her. You are not what I expected. What did you expect? A noble woman who breaks, he says. Who thanks me for mercy and waits to die. I am grateful, Claudia says. That gratitude does not require surrender. Magnus leans back. Then he says something unexpected. There is a man who wants to sabotage the games. Her heart tightens. He is a rival editor, Magnus continues. Sextus Aurelius Marcellus. He wants my help. He has promised to buy my freedom. Claudia does not interrupt. And? She asks. And your survival would help him, Magnus says. If the senator's daughter disappears. The editor looks weak. Her mind races. Why tell me this? Because I need leverage, Magnus replies. Marcellus may betray me after he wins. Claudia understands. She speaks carefully. If I live, she says, my father will owe you a senator's debt. That is leverage. Magnus considers. That may be enough, he says. Then, we have alignment, Claudia replies. We have possibility, Magnus corrects. Not hope, but possibility is oxygen. Night falls again. This time, Claudia listens differently. The sounds are the same. But now she knows she is not helpless. She is inside a system. And systems can be bent. When interests collide. She has 6 days left. And now she has a direction. The next days settle into a pattern. Daylight belongs to waiting. Claudia stays inside Magnus's quarters. She does not step into the corridors. She does not draw attention. Invisibility is safety. She reads. The Stoics speaking calm sentences. They divide the world cleanly. What you control, what you do not. You control choice. You control response. You do not control fate. The words are not comfort. They are tools. At night, Magnus returns. They talk. Not like captor and captive. Like to people calculating survival. Claudia speaks about the Petronius household. About Gaius Petronius. About debts hidden behind respectable trade. About smuggling routes. About brides paid quietly. About affairs that could ruin reputations. Magnus listens without interruption. He understands leverage. Power in the hypogeme is not muscle alone. It is information. In return, Magnus shares what he knows. The editor of the games, Publius Cumdus, is promised a spectacle, a senator's daughter, public death, maximum attention, seats already sold, boasts already made. Breaking that promise would humiliate him. Marcellus knows this. Marcellus is patient. He never builds a plan with one thread. He builds nets. The escape, Magnus explains, will not happen quietly. It will happen during chaos. The Ludi Romani pull thousands into the stands. Security stretches thin. Eyes turn upward. The hypogeme empties. Guards watch the sand, not the tunnels. That is the window. Claudia listens. And you, she asks. By fight, Magnus says. As scheduled, no one suspects the champion who performs. And afterward, Magnus says. Confusion protects everyone. The risk is enormous. Failure means torture, public death. But certainty already waits for Claudia. Risk is the only direction left. I will do it, she says. Magnus nods. Then we prepare, she writes. For hours. Details. Names. Routes. Transactions. Not emotion. Evidence. The truth, shaped so it cannot be ignored. Magnus reads everything. This is strong, he says. Strong enough to scare powerful men. He seals the papers. Locks them away. Insurance. On the 6th night the door opens unexpectedly. Aemon enters. Older. Heavy. Confident. He wears the tunic of authority. I am Publius Cumdus, he says. Editor of the games. The room feels colder. You know why you are here, he continues. And I know what you've been planning. Claudia does not speak. Cumdus smiles. Magnus was arrested an hour ago. He holds up a document. Confession. Your escape was part of a sabotage. Tomorrow he dies. Claudia's chest tightens. And you? Cumdus asks. You will die publicly. Slowly. He leaves. Gods replace the door. The sanctuary is gone. Night passes without sleep. Claudia thinks again. Not about escape. About timing. Magnus is alive. For now, chaos is still possible. Morning comes. Guards arrive. They lead her through corridors. She watches everything. The layout. The guard positions. She notices something else. The hypogeme is understaffed. People are missing. Something has already begun. In a nearby cell, she sees Magnus. Beaten. Bound. But alive. Their eyes meet. He is not broken. Then it happens. An explosion. Stone shakes. Shouting. Guards run. Magnus moves. Violently. The lock on Claudia's cell gives way. She runs. Not blindly. Guided. Someone waits at a service gate. Senator's daughter, the man asks. Yes. Follow me. They move fast. Upward. Light explodes into her vision. She is outside. A cart waits. The driver snaps the reins. Rung falls behind her. Behind her, the arena roars. Chaos covers tracks. Later, the truth surfaces. Claudia survives. The Petronius crimes are exposed. Gaius Britronius falls. Magnus survives. Freed. Manu admitted. Commodus loses everything. History records disruption. It does not record how, but Claudia does. She writes it all down. And that is why we know. Because history often forgets the victims. And survival sometimes depends on refusing to disappear. The games went on. From the stands, most people saw confusion. Noise. Delays. Some blamed poor planning. Others blamed bad luck. Very few understood what had actually happened. Claudia Severina did not die in the arena. She vanished. And in Rome, disappearance can be more dangerous than death. Weeks later, she reappeared at her father's estate. Alive. Then changed. She did not speak publicly at first. She worked quietly. Documents moved. Testimony followed. The Petronius household collapsed under investigation. Smuggling. Debt bribes. The murder of Quintus Petronius was reopened. A slave confessed. The truth surfaced slowly. No magistrate publicly admitted error. But no one tried to execute Claudia again. That was enough. Magnus the Destroyer was never seen in the arena again. Official records say he died during unrest. Unofficial records say he left Rome that same year. A freed man. Living far from the sand, Publius Commodus lost his position. Not overnight, but completely. His rivals circled. Blame accumulated. Rome does not forgive embarrassment. Claudia lived another 30 for years. She never married again. She managed estates. She read philosophy. She wrote. Not for fame. Not for justice. For memory. Her account survived because it was copied quietly. Passed through families. Preserved in fragments. It tells us what official histories do not. That the arena was not just spectacle. It was infrastructure. That beneath every cheer was a system. And inside that system were people erased before they ever reached the sand. Women like Claudia. Women who did not survive. Dozens passed through Magnus' quarters before her. Hundreds through others. Most left no record. Only scheduled deaths. Claudia was not typical. She was an exception. And exceptions proved the rule. The high podium consumed people. The arena required silence. Rome remembered the fighters. It forgot the condemned. That forgetting was deliberate. Because remembering would have changed the story. Remember Claudia Severina. Remember the woman who asked a gladiator to choose differently. Remember Magnus who proved that choice still existed even inside a machine built to remove it. Remember the world beneath the sand. Because history often celebrates power. And hides what power consumes. And survival sometimes belongs not to the strongest, but to the ones who understand systems and refuse to disappear inside them.